Jeff, who's going to talk to us about how much does a kilogram actually weigh.
Test. Hi, so I have here about 1 liter of water, which weighs about 1 kilo. And I say about, it's not spot on, which is curious because for about 5 years, 1 liter of water was the definition of a kilogram, internationally accepted. But it had to be at a certain temperature, there were a lot of conditions, so it wasn't actually that great. So they changed it. Can they do that? Yes. So now, to begin my research into this talk, I time traveled back to the Middle Ages, and at that time, all units were local. There were bushels and pounds that were different over in the next village. For many years, the definition of an inch in England was 3 barleycorns laid side by side. And at the castle where I visited, the definition of an inch was the thumb joint of the guy who had started the castle. It was a difficult time. Maps were bad, trade was very difficult, people cheated, got cheated, taxes were tough, and passing on technical information was hard. Like a recipe that says half a kilo baked for at 250 for 90 minutes doesn't do any good when you don't have kilos or minutes or degrees. Fast forward to the French Revolution. It wasn't all guillotines and fun hats, people. But these people, they had a passion for standardization, rationalization. They tried it on the calendar, good luck. Religion, good luck. But they got very far with weights and measures, and then Emperor Napoleon continued it with slightly different but same intent. The first one they worked on was the meter. So the first definition was totally unworkable, and so they just got a bar and they said this is a meter, and that bar in Paris became the standard for like 200 years almost. And they popularized it by making replicas, marble replicas all over the city, which was great marketing. In 1983, they redefined the same length as the distance that light travels in 1/300,000th of a second. So it's very small, but this was brilliant because now you could be anywhere that you had a good lab, right? And it was always going to be the same, it was always going to be consistent, and you had that super cool machine with that guy. Love it. Okay, so now time. So in the old days, the definition of a second was also just totally unworkable. So seconds and concepts weren't even really minutes. Eventually clocks got better. They didn't gain time or lose time. And the ticks became pretty accurate and precise, but precise to what? They didn't have a good definition. Boom, 1960s, atomic clocks come along. These things are amazing. They gain or lose a second over billions of years. So now a second is defined as about 9 billion flips of a transition state in a cesium atom, which may sound very difficult to figure out, but you can do it. You use microwaves, very clever. So this is a mad amount of precision. Is this really necessary? Well, in the old days, when you were brewing beer or forging a horseshoe or buying a fish, no. But now, with pharmaceutical manufacture, it's really important. Microchip manufacture, the tolerances are in billions of a meter, and if you can't slice time into very small intervals, you don't have GPS. So, what do they have in common? Standard units, they're great, which is, a good unit is based on natural phenomena, it's precise, we talked about that, it is practical, we have the machinery to actually do it, and it's universal, which means whether you do it on Earth, the Moon, or the Andromeda Galaxy, it's always going to come out to be the same. So that brings us to the kilogram. This talk is actually about kilograms. So the first definition was terrible, once again, and so they made a cylinder of platinum and they decided that was the kilogram, put it under glass, put it in Paris. They made many copies of it and sent it around the world so you didn't have to go all the way to Paris to calibrate your scale. And it turned out that over time, those copies diverged in weight as they're going to just a little bit, but it was still too much. How much did the original change? Not at all, because the original was the definition of a kilogram. So if it changed, it was still a kilogram. A kilogram was it. Wrap your head around that. It's kind of cool. Okay, so then, boom, technology, right? Like those early scientists would have wept with joy to have one of today's bathroom scales. And if you need to be more accurate than that, you can use the home drug scale, which I'm told some people actually use for cooking. Amazing. So this solves like loads of problems, right? It solves everything. But no, because if you were to use one of these on the top of Mount Everest, it would actually be about 0.5% less. By the way, I took that photo. If you did it on the moon, it would be 80% less. If you did it out in space, it would just be floating next to you. It's totally unworkable. So we need a new way of thinking about this. And the new way of thinking about it is that the kilogram doesn't even measure weight. No, it measures mass. What is mass? Mass is the amount of stuff you have in one place. right? So that's a kilogram. So how do you like measure the stuff, right? Well, if you put stuff on a scale, it presses down on it, it applies force, and then the scale reads. The more stuff, the more force. So we need a way to measure force, right? Now, wait, if only we had one, well, we've got the newtons, right? Which is a unit of force. And so if you ask a physicist, how much does a 100 kilogram person weigh on the moon? They're going to reply 162 newtons. And that same person would weigh 981 newtons on the Earth, but it would still be 100 kilograms. That hasn't changed. Same amount of stuff. So now we need a thing that will measure newtons in any gravitational field. Enter the Keble balance. This is a sexy beast, right? Scientific equipment, looks like it was designed for a sci-fi movie and then like poured over with Art Deco sauce. How does it work, okay? So you take an object, you put it on the pan is on a coil, and then you turn on some electricity, right? And then the electricity moves the pan through a magnetic field, you measure very accurately how much electricity you're putting in to do it. And then you do a bunch of math, which includes adjusting for the low gravitational field, the Planck constant, or whatever. And then boom, you get mass. And that, right, becomes a way to do it. And that is the new definition of the kilogram, which was accepted only 5 years ago. Now, this is the organization that does it, the BIPM. And if it looks like the logo is old-fashioned, it totally is. That organization started in 1895, and it is the direct institutional descendant of those people from the French Revolution and then Napoleon's Academy, etc. Like, it's the same guys all the way through. So, 2018 was a big year, right? It wasn't just the kilogram, but for the first time, all units were described as in terms of natural functions. Bravo. And so if you go fast forward 1,000 years, my contention is that future historians, when they look back to this time, besides the fact that we're destroying the planet with coal and things like that, they're going to look back and say that this, not petty wars and politics, but this was the big thing. And when they put their future cheese on their future pizza, they will do it in kilograms.